Hi, good evening. My name is Samuel Hawkins, and this is my video analysis for the Debunking Myths for Dr. Garvin, Concordia University, for Theories of Teaching and Learning. The article that I researched for the Debunking Myths was by Dr. Willingham of the University of Virginia, and it was Auditory Learners or Visual Learners. Which one are you, and does it really matter? In this article, Dr. Willingham sought to disprove the theory that there was a certain learning style that individuals fit themselves within. He started out by saying how that no matter if you were an auditory learner or a visual learner, when those researchees that they had used for this particular study, when they went to their particular learning style, that they did not learn any faster, thus disproving the myth that you had to fit within a particular learning style. What he did notice, however, is that when given the opportunity to further test their theory of they had a particular learning style, whether they were a visual or an auditory learner, when given randomized tests, self-described visual learners, when given words, would often take those words and formulate pictures within their minds. Auditory learners or verbalizers, when given pictures, would then begin to uh, describe those pictures to themselves in their minds. Thus, what he was saying is that instead of be specifying to be a visual learner or an auditory learner, that you should be an intuitive learner, and that no matter whatever the task is or may be, that your learning style adjusts and changes based upon that task. This theory or this myth, I do agree with to a certain degree. As being a classroom teacher, especially one that teaches math, I believe in teaching my students and giving them multiple ways to learn a particular concept. So it is very amazing to me as a teacher that when I give a student a particular topic, a particular concept to learn, I give them 3 or 4 different ways to learn or to better understand that particular concept, and allow them to choose the one that best fits them. Uh, the visual learners will sometimes want to hear the more with verbal, and the verbalized learners will want to go more towards the visual. And so I must agree with him with his theory that it does not matter whether you're a visual learner or an auditory learner, that you should be more intuitive, and that your learning style should adjust to whatever task that you fit within. When researching Dr. Carey's book about how we learn, and going back to chapter 9, what I noticed that stuck out to me that kind of goes with this is that he says that when you run through a bunch of examples fast and less than censor and let the sensory areas of your brain do the rest, instead of trying to slow down, just quickly running through different things, not allowing the brain to think, and therefore you're learning without even thinking. What further allowed me to kind of to agree with this is that when he said in chapter 6 of the theory about how the brain works, and how when you are hit a wall or working on a particular topic and you feel that you have hit a wall and you cannot go any further, and then all of a sudden you take a break, and then boom, the light bulb clicks and it flickers, and it could have been something that you've seen, whether it be verbal or something that you've seen visual, that allowed you to further prove or work out exactly the thing that you were struggling with. He narrowed it down to 3 stages. The first was preparation, incubation, and then illumination. This that I think was the most important was the second stage of incubation, which begins when you put aside a problem. So typically, as even being a classroom teacher, when I have a student that is struggling with a particular thing, we take brain breaks. The brain breaks allows those students to then refocus and think about something else that has totally nothing to do with math. And then in thinking about those things that have nothing totally to do with math, and when they come back to the particular problem that they were struggling with, they're able to actually then work it out thoroughly without any hesitation, and the light bulb begins to flicker, and they begin to understand exactly what they were struggling with before. And this works for auditory as well as visual learners. And so, as being a classroom teacher, we know that we must differentiate the lesson for all learners. But if we teach all learners to be able to fit within any learning style, whether you are a self-described visual learner, you have to also be able to be auditory or verbalized or even kinesthetic learner. You should have to be able to work with any task and anything that you're given. This helps the brain to work more fluidly, to grow. I think about when I was writing with my right hand, and then I stopped writing my right hand and started teaching myself to write left-handed. I allowed the brain to work in a totally different way to help me to see things differently. And so this, I must agree with this, with his theory. Dr. Willingham from the University of Virginia says it does not matter whether you're a visual or an auditory learner, that you should be an intuitive learner, and whatever the task presents itself, you should fit your learning style to fit the task and not try to fit the task within your learning style. Thank you.